do our 2021 District 24 International Speech Contestant or Champion, Tremail Berger. So thank you very much. It's all yours, Tremail.
Thank you so much, Cindy. It's really a great pleasure to be here with you all tonight. It's still daylight where I'm at right now. The sun has not yet set, and I know Keith, you're really loving that. But for those of you who haven't had a chance to speak with me outside the contest format or outside the contest, if you get a chance to talk to me, you'll know that I watch a lot of film, a lot of movies, and the reason why I watch them is because I think that it's really interesting to see, while they have the aid and the effect of visual to help. I really like to break down the structures of how they present sequences and how they make you think about concepts without necessarily making it obvious, how they hint at things, how they foreshadow things. I really take a liking into breaking them down, and I've always tried to invoke a similar roller coaster ride or similar experience in the speeches that I give, because I feel like that is the gift, that's the reward that we have to give to the audience, for them extending to us the pleasure of their time. That I feel that I owe the audience at least that much, that if I'm going to get up there and take up a certain amount of their time, I owe them a journey. And that's how, I would say where every speech starts with me is, I feel like I don't have a speech if I'm not communicating the journey. And, when you look at journeys, I think that there can sometimes be a tendency to look at the biggest things that happen, the biggest journeys in life. But what I've come to learn, not just through the speech contest, but just, in life in general, some of the most monumental lessons that I've learned have come from just simple, everyday, routine lessons that get applied in a very interesting way. And I find and I feel that is a groundswell of material for speeches. I think that you can really, kind of talk yourself into a blur, so to speak, if your focus is coming up with this big idea, this big life-changing event, where someone died or your life completely changed. I feel like that kind of puts what you have to say in a box. And I think there's much more rich topics, much more rich ideas to explore when you just look to see, how can I share a compelling journey, even if it started off as a rudimentary in a rudimentary place, or a simple set of facts that led to an extraordinary outcome. So I'd say that's probably where I start the journey. And there's a quote mentioned that movies is something that I really pay attention to. So how many of you have seen A Star Is Born, the movie with Lady Gaga? Anyone in here? Well, if you haven't, I want you to go on YouTube, and you can probably write Sam Elliott and write in the words 12 notes between any octave. And the reason why I want to share this quote with you is because I feel like it's very powerful, and encapsulates a lot of what I just mentioned about the perspective and the extraordinary topics that you can bring from just ordinary things. And there's this line where Sam Elliott's character is speaking to his brother, and he says, music is essentially 12 notes between any octave. 12 notes and the octave repeats, and it's the same story told over and over again forever. All any artist can ever offer the world is how they see those 12 notes. That's it. And I thought that was just tremendously powerful, because you think about what are some of the common emotions that we experience in life. Sadness, there's happiness, there's joy, there is feeling like you're somewhere in between. But there's a limited, I think, overarching ways that you can describe an event. But I feel like where the magic is, where the power is, where the distinction comes is the way you describe, those ordinary scenarios, those same set of scenarios that everyone experiences. And that is something that I really take into account when I'm looking for, a speech topic. Continuing with the theme of how impactful, movies and the metaphors of movies that I kind of instill in how I look at speeches. I've actually given the same speech and I've told it from different perspectives. And it's very interesting because you quickly realize that, you can tell the same story. Let's say I'm, telling the story of, how I won my first spelling bee. I mean, you can tell that from the perspective of your first person. You can tell that from the perspective of a young person sitting in the audience and they witnessed that and how that impacted their life. You can tell it from the perspective of the person who coached me to become the spelling bee chat. There's so many different perspectives. And that is another big thing that I've come to realize in speech making is every speech that you give, there is this kind of metaphorical lens. And, where you choose to position it and where you choose to zoom in and zoom out can really dictate the flow and impact of your speech, even if you're discussing the same set of facts and circumstances. Looking at the perspective through which you tell a story and changing that perspective while telling the same story, I think is another powerful thing that can unlock, the power that, stories have. It's been very interesting multiple times that I've done that. The other thing I would say, and I know I'm kind of running close to time on here, is I didn't fully realize this when I first started speaking in Toastmasters, but now that I've gone through a few rounds of this, there's a certain grace that I give myself, and that grace is knowing that the speech that I give, no matter how hard I work on it, will be imperfect. And I know that sounds a little bit harsh. And like, well, how can you just say that your speeches will be imperfect? Notice I didn't say that it would not be impactful. I said it would be imperfect. And the reason why I say it's imperfect is when you look at all of the different things that you can do in a speech, right? All the different perspectives, all the different leans you can have. You can be more focused on humor. You can be more focused on vocal variety. You can enhance your story with very rich, colorful, descriptive language. All of those are different avenues that you can take in a speech, and you only have 7 minutes in the contest. By definition, there will be a certain technique or a certain process or a certain method that you will not have time to get to because the very nature of the time constraints in the speech means that you have to pick certain things over the other because you can't be everything in 7 minutes. You just have to make sure and know that for the story that you're telling, you have to listen to it. You have to understand what the story is calling for. Does the story need the rich details? Does it demand it? Does it require it? Does the story require highly, moments of relief to allow the audience to experience the highs and lows? That's been probably the most profound lesson that I've learned throughout the process, is giving myself and telling myself, understanding that the speech won't be perfect, but it will be impactful if I focus on what is true to the story that I'm trying to tell. And that has released a tremendous amount of stress and pressure, and it gives you the freedom and creativity to let your speech take you on a journey of self-discovery. And that's the last thing that I'll end with, is ultimately going through the speech contest. If you commit yourself truly to the process, if you commit yourself truly to telling a story, and telling it in a way that makes you have a reaction inside, right? That when you tell it, when you speak it, when you say it, you feel the emotions that you want other people to feel. When you do that, there's a personal journey that you go through, a personal journey where you discover things about yourself that you never would. And when you do that, the biggest thing that I've learned is that you are a winner in it, no matter what the results of the contest are. because you walk away learning something about yourself that otherwise probably would have never been revealed if not for this process, this gift that, you know, the International Speech Contest gives us, Toastmasters gives us, and just speech making and storytelling in general gives us. It's an opportunity for us to discover ourselves and share that journey with other people so that no matter where they are in the process of their journey, they can see themselves in you and continue. So with that being said, I'll turn it back over to Toastmaster.